Hey everyone, and welcome back to the British Accent Podcast. I'm Emily, and I'm so glad you're here today. Wherever you are, in your kitchen, on a walk, sitting in traffic, or maybe just lying in bed, we're going to have a gentle, real conversation. Today's topic: why it's okay to learn English slowly. You're still moving forward. You know, sometimes it feels like everyone else is racing ahead. Maybe you're scrolling through social media and someone says, "I became fluent in 6 months." Or a friend seems to pick up new vocabulary overnight, while you're still trying to remember yesterday's phrases. And in those moments, it's easy to feel like you're not good enough, or that slow progress means no progress. But that's not the truth.
Exactly. I'm Nick, by the way. Hi folks, and honestly, this is something so many learners go through. But learning slowly doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. In fact, it usually means you're learning deeply. You're not rushing to memorize words just to forget them a week later. You're building something solid, something that lasts.
Yes, and slow learning is often more real. Think about it. When you take your time with a word, when you hear it again and again in different situations, it becomes a part of your thinking. You start to own that word. It's not just something you recognize on a flashcard, it's something you can use in life.
And let's be honest, most people learning English aren't full-time students sitting in a classroom with 6 hours a day to study. You've got jobs, families, responsibilities. Learning English is one part of your life, not the whole thing. So it's perfectly normal if it takes time. You're still moving forward, even if it's just one new word a day.
One of the most powerful things you can do is redefine what progress looks like. Did you listen to a podcast while cooking dinner? That's progress. Did you read a text message in English and understand it without translating? That's progress. Did you try saying a sentence out loud to yourself in the mirror, even if it felt awkward? That's real, meaningful practice.
And you know what? The learners who go slow and steady often stay with it. They are the ones who don't burn out, who don't give up when it gets hard, because they've accepted the rhythm of their own journey. They are not comparing their chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 10. They are just turning their own page, one at a time.
We're so used to quick results in everything: fast food, fast internet, fast answers. But language learning is still something beautifully human. It takes time, repetition, mistakes, and moments of quiet understanding. And all of that is okay.
Actually, it's more than okay. It's powerful. Because every slow learner I've ever met has had moments where, one day, they suddenly realize, wow, I just understood that movie without subtitles, or I just had a full conversation and didn't panic. And those moments didn't come from rushing. They came from showing up again and again.
So if you're listening and feeling like you're not moving fast enough, take a deep breath. You're learning at the right speed for your life. You're not falling behind. You're building something real. And real growth always takes time.
It reminds me of when I was learning French back in uni. I was so frustrated because I wasn't speaking fluently after a year. But what really helped me was noticing the small shifts, like understanding a joke or responding automatically to a question. It didn't feel dramatic, but it was definitely progress. That's the thing, slow progress is often invisible until one day it's not.
Exactly. And I think a lot of learners don't give themselves enough credit. Just being here, listening to this podcast in English, choosing to spend time with the language instead of giving up, that already says so much about your dedication. Even if you're not practicing grammar every day or memorizing 10 new words, you're staying close to the language. And that matters.
Yeah, and staying close, what a great way to put it. Sometimes just being with the language, hearing it, thinking in it a little, counts. Not everything has to be intense study time. And when life gets overwhelming, it's okay to dial it down. You can still learn in the quiet moments.
Like when you're walking to work, and just thinking about how to say something in English. Or watching a show and catching one new phrase. Those micro moments of attention add up. And actually, they are more likely to stick because you're engaging with the language in your real world, not a textbook world.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think it's important to say this clearly: you're allowed to learn slowly. You're allowed to make this journey yours. The goal isn't speed, it's understanding, confidence, and connection. Whether it takes 6 months or 6 years, you're still becoming the kind of English speaker you want to be.
It's a journey you don't need to rush. Because when you learn slowly, you notice things others might skip. You get to enjoy the process more. You build a relationship with English that's actually sustainable. That's what helps you keep going when motivation dips or life gets busy.
And when you do keep going, even in small, quiet ways, you're building something incredibly strong. Not just language skills, but resilience, patience, self-trust. All things that will help you not just in English, but in life too.
That's beautifully said, Nick. And it's true, not every learner realizes how much strength it takes to keep going slowly. There's this pressure to always be fast, efficient, productive, but learning a language doesn't always follow that kind of rhythm. Sometimes it's a slow burn. But it's still burning.
Yeah, and sometimes slow actually means deep. Like when you've heard the same phrase 10 times and suddenly one day, it just clicks. Or when you struggle to use a certain tense and then out of nowhere, you use it perfectly without thinking. That's not just progress, that's mastery developing under the surface.
Exactly. And those are the best moments, honestly. They feel so natural and earned. And they don't happen in a rush. They happen because you've stuck with it, even when it was boring or confusing or just too much.
And let's not forget, language learning is part emotional, part practical. Some days, your brain just isn't available for complex grammar rules, and that's okay. You're still the same learner. You're still on the path.
Right? I think one of the kindest things you can do for yourself is to trust that the work you're doing, even if it looks small or slow, is adding up. You might not notice the change in a day, or even a week. But if you zoom out, look at where you were 6 months ago, you'll see it. You'll see how far you've come.
And honestly, those small, consistent efforts? They are the real secret. Not flashy. Not Instagram-worthy. But they build the kind of fluency that lasts. The kind you don't have to fight for every time you speak.
You become the kind of speaker who's steady. Maybe not perfect, but confident in a quiet, grounded way. And that's often what we admire most in native speakers anyway. Not the fancy vocabulary, but the ease, the flow. You get there bit by bit. Slowly. And that's more than okay.
And the beauty is, when you're learning slowly, you're more likely to make the language a part of your life. It stops being just another task on your to-do list and starts becoming something you live with. Like brushing your teeth or making your morning tea, it's just there, part of you.
Yes, and I think that's when real change happens. When English isn't something you go do in a special moment of the day, but something that shows up when you're walking, cooking, thinking, reflecting. That's the kind of learning that actually transforms you.
And it's funny, isn't it? When you let go of the pressure to be perfect or fast, you suddenly start learning more easily. Your mind relaxes. You stop judging every mistake. You open up to the process, and English starts flowing more naturally.
Totally. It's like the moment you stop chasing progress so aggressively, progress starts to come to you. Slowly, gently, but it comes. It meets you where you are. And that's the part most learners miss when they are stuck thinking they are behind.
And the idea of being behind is so misleading anyway. Behind what? Whose timeline? Everyone's journey looks different. Some people have 4 hours a day to study. Others have 10 minutes between putting the baby down and folding laundry. It's all valid.
Yes. You're not less of a learner because your life is full. You're not behind just because your progress isn't linear. You're living a real life and learning a language inside of it. That's brave. That's meaningful. That's enough.
Honestly, I think people underestimate what it takes to keep learning in the middle of a messy life. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up in whatever way you can, and trusting that showing up counts. Every single time.
Absolutely. So if you're listening to this and feeling like you're not moving fast enough, or like you're not doing it right, take a breath. Remind yourself, slow doesn't mean stuck. It means you're learning in a way that fits your life. And that's a strong, sustainable way to grow.
Exactly. You don't need to be in a rush to be a real learner. You already are one, just by continuing, day after day, even if it's only 5 minutes at a time. Keep showing up, and trust the process.
Thanks for spending your time with us today. This has been the British Accent Podcast, and we're proud of you, no matter how slow or steady your journey feels.
Keep going. You're doing better than you think. See you next time.